Welcome to our Friday edition of Military Trailblazer Office Hours. This is our Friday open Q&A session, where our goal is to be a live forum for transitioning military veterans, military spouses, and allies, which basically means all Trailblazers are welcome, for you to ask questions and get help while you're on your Salesforce learning journey. Topics that we could discuss could be pretty much anything Salesforce technology related. Stuck in a trailhead badge, you have a question or a challenge at work, whatever it is, feel free to use the raise hand icon and we'll try to go through things in order and answer your questions. The only thing that we ask is that you don't ask questions specifically about super badges, as that's a violation of the Salesforce policy. After the call, if you want to stay connected, a few different ways you can do that. You can sign up on mtofficehours.com and you'll be notified every Monday of all the sessions that are happening that week. You can follow our page on LinkedIn, and you can join us on our private Slack workspace. So with that, I'm going to stop my share. And before we actually open it up to questions, Sandy, you had brought something up, and I wanted to kind of, once everybody was joined, I wanted to kind of go through that. So you want to bring that up one more time, and we'll do it.
Okay, this is the first time this has ever happened, but we did a change set. We deployed something from Sandbox to production this morning, and when it included two brand new profiles. And with these two profiles, once we moved them over, the settings didn't come over. So all of the object tabs were default hidden. A bunch of the other settings, the read write, all that stuff. A lot of them were, and it was weird. It was inconsistent. Like some were no access and some were partial and stuff like that. It was kind of odd, and I'm not sure what we did differently or what might have changed.
Yeah. First thing that jumps out of me, and this is why I wanted to bring it up here when everybody showed up, but the first thing that jumps out of me is that just to point out the way that change sets work, specifically around profiles, is that if you created a profile and you had all the access to all the different things in your org, and you just added that into the change set, plus like one other field that you wanted to make sure you deploy to the production, the only thing that's going to deploy from that profile's perspective is the access to that one little field. So in other words, it only applies the permissions for that profile for the stuff that's in the change set. It's not like deploy all changes from this profile into production. It's
But
just the stuff.
it's never happened to us before. Like this is the first time I've ever seen that happen. Unless in the past I don't think we created the profiles directly in production that I remember before.
Yeah. So let me take a pause and take a step back here.
Mhm.
First of all, does anybody else have any thoughts? And two, can anybody validate what I just said, just to make sure that I'm not pointing
It
us in the
makes
wrong
sense.
direction? Yeah.
It absolutely
Right.
makes sense, but I don't think that's that's why I'm saying I don't know what we did differently. That's why I'm assuming it was something we did.
Yeah.
To change that, make sure you deploy all the classes and anything else that you gave permissions to.
It cut out a little bit. I didn't hear what you said.
On the change set, can you go back and review to make sure that you deployed the classes and anything else associated with those profiles?
I mean, from previous change sets, I don't have access to those anymore, but I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like I didn't do my change set any different than I normally would. So I'm not sure if, because the last time we did it was so long ago, if there was just something else that we did that we didn't normally do.
Let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
These profiles, were they created initially in the sandbox and then deployed to production?
Mhm.
Could that be a variable where in the past there were profiles created in production, and then when the sandbox was created, they already existed, and then when you deployed them, everything was good. But in this case, it literally just deployed just your changes for the things that were in that change set, but everything else that you would have anticipated having access, maybe they just didn't get included, and it's
Yeah.
specifically that creation action that might be the problem.
Yeah, I'm not 100%
Yeah.
because literally with this, or it's one of those kind of orgs where they are bringing in different, like almost like a membership sort of thing. So every time they get new members, they create new profiles and stuff. So every time we do it, we are always creating new profiles. and roles and all that kind of stuff with them to account for the new people and what their sharing access would or should or shouldn't be. So that's I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we in the past that because I've only done this twice now because there was somebody else that used to be assigned to this project.
That
But
may
Yeah.
be
even the project manager was like, "This is weird."
that may be what it is because that other person created the change sets, so they knew everything they had to click and add to it, and you just added the profile like Gregory said and didn't put all the other stuff in there. So
Maybe.
why don't you get them to get like something automatic? Because it's like a half day pain, it seems like, to go back and click everything on.
Yeah, I just ended up cloning the ones in production that I cloned while I was in Sandbox, so I didn't really make a huge amount of extra work. But if that's what I got to put that step on our template for our design every time we do this, at least I'll have that note on there next time.
All right, two things. One, I just put a help article in the chat that kind of covers change sets and profiles. It's interesting. Second thing is that I don't know if the can's going to get kicked again, but my understanding is that these profiles are all going away anyway, right? So should we be leaning towards the permission set thing or what?
Probably, but not my call.
All right, somebody said
Yeah.
it.
I know, but part of the problem with that one is they've got so many already set up and stuff like that. So in order to then change everybody over, it's
That's
probably
what you need a strong CRUD matrix for, with personas and all the accesses.
A strong CRUD matrix. I have never heard of such a thing, but I have to find a way to incorporate that into my speaking for the next week. That's good.
So since they haven't stopped using profiles, can't that kind of be like a 15 or 10 minute a day um project, like Megan said about creating your CRUD matrix, and
absolutely.
just do a little bit each day, and then uh educate them on best practices and that, hey, this is going away in Salesforce. You're not going to have it any longer, so we might as well do it now versus wait until we're gone and someone at your company has to do it and blah blah blah.
Education wise, that's never going to be an issue because they literally know nothing about Salesforce. So it would still be on us. We would just need to have the permission to, do it in terms of billing and all that kind of stuff since they've hired us.
Yeah.
But you are correct. That would probably be an easy way to do it. Like, hey, because with them, they have us on a retainer. So we've got like a bucket of hours every month that they pay for. So it could probably be done during that if they didn't have something bigger they wanted taken care of.
Yeah,
They'll
and just
eventually realize that paying that retainer is more than having an employee that's there all the time, or a part-time employee that's there all the time for a set number of hours. I mean, retainer is great, but eventually
You stop talking that way because this is money that comes in, gives me a job and pays me. So you shush.
I'm just being upfront and setting out all the balls that are up in the air, so.
No,
Can
I don't. We're
Can
fine
I
right now.
show an example of a really good CRUD matrix?
I would love to see a CRUD matrix. The last thing I would say though is before I forget this one thing, the effort of doing it like 15 minutes a day, I think that's a great strategy if I were like a solo admin managing my Salesforce work. Where I can see that kind of causing a problem is if it's somebody that's working on a retainer, like a consultant, they come in, they do a little bit each day, and then maybe that they roll off, and now you have somebody else coming in, and maybe it's a different consulting company that comes in to help. Having it like in limbo I could see how that could just be a mess that just never gets fully cleaned up, and now you have like half stuff one way, half the other way. So that could be the only challenge I could see. But
No, I'm
maybe if
talking
we,
about I'm talking about 15 minutes a day on the CRUD matrix, not
oh,
changing them, but get it all
okay, okay,
planned out.
Documenting them,
yeah, all right.
building the documentation.
Let's see this. I'm
Right.
literally, I'm
So
going to sit on the edge of my seat. Hold on.
well, no. So if anybody has like a better ways to do this, this is for a pretty detailed project. So I'm not going to go into like a bunch of stuff. There's nothing proprietary in here, but
Are you
you'll
sharing something?
recognize. Not yet.
Okay,
I'm saying it. I'm giving a
it's a build up.
Intro.
Okay.
an
Yep.
Doing our
intro.
intro.
Yeah. So basically, this is for one of our clients, and it's military, so you're going to recognize a lot of terms if you're in the Air Force. But there's nothing crazy in here. It's AATC. So anyway, let me.
Education Training Command.
Yep, which is getting a new name, by the way. I don't know if you heard.
No, I don't usually keep up on that stuff.
Yeah, no big deal.
I'm retired.
Fair enough. All right, can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
So this is our basic CRUD. So we break it down by personas over here on the left, and then across the board, it's their access that you can see up at the top to the objects. So we maintain this, and this is really good for our testing, especially when we have like changes that affect so many of the personas. So we can go in right away and kind of see whether or not they even need to have access, like in the testing. So like if a student could see something on, for example, the classes right here where they have no access, and we know something's wrong, right? They shouldn't have access to this object at all. We are using permission sets, not profiles. We have profile licenses, but we have customized everything. But we rely on permission sets, not profiles. We also have an entire list of all of our permission sets, how they affect each profile, so you can see who's been assigned what. We also have a sharing model that we have over here. And then our matrix is broken down by object and field. So we also like keeping track of ourselves. Has this been put in Salesforce? But my favorite part about this, besides all the field labels and the data types and everything, is we keep notes in here as well on any changes that we make and why we made those changes. But also, sorry, over here, we can see immediately for this object and for each field, whether or not they have access to the field and what type of access. And like I said, we've got our notes, our questions, we have their responses, we have pick list values if they need them, if they're formulas, if they're used in flows. The next thing we're going to be doing is cleaning up our TDD and actually having the processes built for our flows for what they're actually doing. So
can I interject a quick question about this matrix that we're looking at? Who actually created this? Is it a human or is this something generated through a tool?
human.
Okay. So that would be my only concern, in that in any time that I've ever tried to document anything as complex as this, like even like thinking about logic, different methods and classes within Apex in a kind of a complex system, trying to diagram it out, build it with Visio just to try to like put the logic on the screen. I do it the one time, and then like I go and I make a bunch of changes, and then I just never go back and update the thing.
So we
how?
constantly update it. So
Yeah,
it's part of our user story. So as we are pushing this through, and so one of the things that we have on here, let me see if I have a good example, maybe on the enrollment. It will actually say, so right now everything is kind of black or blue. Let me see if I have anything in the red. If it's in the red, it means it's not in prod yet. So, and right here we also have, is it put in Salesforce? It's not put in Salesforce until it's been smoke tested in prod. Then we change it to yes. So like right now we have so these are good. These got moved up. These are getting tested this week. So is it put in Salesforce? Not officially, because it hasn't been smoke tested. So it's technically in prod, but it's not done. So it's still at a no.
So if I had to kind of distill that into the bottom line for this has to be baked into your process. Otherwise, it would just be like one of those things that I could see easily falling apart. But if it's part of your process and it's like you're releasing stuff, it is absolutely required that you go in and you make the changes here.
Yes.
And then, yeah, I think this is pretty good.
Yeah. Living documentation.
You do this for every client, or is this specifically for the one client?
This is for this one, but I've started doing it on 2 other projects as well. And we have another client that is kind of in hiatus right now because their CIO sucks. But if they come back, because I have so many leftover hours for them, I'm going to ask them if I can use that to build this out for them as well. It was not part of the original like deliverables, but I think it's a strong thing to have for them.
Yeah. I have to imagine that somebody has gone down this path before, but for something like some of the stuff you absolutely would need to have human intervention, like saying when it was deployed, some notes about it, things like that. But just as far as like that matrix of here's a list of permission sets, here's a list of objects, who has access to what, I gotta imagine that could be scripted in such a way that it could maintain it for you, or at least call out where there's discrepancies between your sheet and the actual environment. Like that's got to be a thing, right?
You gonna build that for me?
I like I'm saying, I have to imagine that something like it used to be called Snapshot, but was it Metazoa or some of
That
these
is
other kind of
so. Some of our clients do have Metazoa. I think 2 have Metazoa, but I'm not on those. Those are massive projects because it's also expensive.
yeah, yeah, no, that's really good. I like that.
I do
Um,
too.
I could see a world where people could charge just for that service to build that document for a company that they can then take and do something with
I
it.
have actually thought about that. Like seriously thought about like side hustle going in and building out matrices for companies. But the fact is there's computers, like there's AI that's going to do it better than I can.
Well, I think I don't know. I'm not fully on board the AI train yet. I think it's kind of hit or miss still these days. I think it'll get there, but not quite.
That's true, Dan. Elements would be a really good resource for this.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting. I haven't used it personally, but from what I understand about Elements, I believe they have like a contractor or a consultant edition that you can get, where then you can use it like on any orgs that you work with. So that might be something to look at.
The other thing too is like for most of our clients, and this is again, so this is very specific, right? I can't attach a lot of third party anything. So I couldn't bring in elements to do what we had
Good
to,
point.
what we did for this customer because they don't allow for it. Everything has to be FedRAMPed.
I was gonna say Elements is in FedRAMP High or whatever it is. No. Okay.
Oh yeah, and today is official. If anybody here works on DoD GovCloud, get ready for Monday. Hyperforce migrations tonight.
Ooh.
What's the worst that can happen, right?
All of your email gets shut off, your system loses contact with all of its other orgs, your sandbox connections close off, anything that's hard linked to documents gets lost.
So basically typical DoD upgrades.
As you say that, I was looking at a help page and I got the banner up saying there's a service disruption. So I'm looking at Trust, right? And actually, you know what? Let me share my screen real quick. For those that might be new to the platform, if you didn't know this was available,
Yes.
so you can go to trust.salesforce.com and it gives you a status of all the different, Salesforce clouds or platforms or whatever it is. But you can see here, like the standard one, sales and service, it says one ongoing incident. So if you click on status, it'll give you kind of a list of all the different specific data centers, I guess, or pods, whatever you want to call it these days. But if you go to, I believe, let's see, where can you actually get the incident details? You should click in. Okay, there you go. So you can click into it, and then it gets down to what the actual issue is. It looks like this is related to data cloud, and they give you all the updates. And I thought at one point that you could subscribe. So if you were on like a particular instance, like whatever ARE2S is, if that was your instance, you can come in here and subscribe to it, and then you'll get notified whenever there's disruptions or incidents. You get, so you're aware of it. So, hey, guys, trust.salesforce.com if you're not aware of that. Well, cool. Any other questions on anything that we just covered before we open it up to other questions?
Document everything. That is my final word.
Absolutely.
That's going to be the name of the app that you build. Document everything, or the consulting service. I like it.
Description, always descriptions.
Always descriptions.
Yeah, I guess that's the new advice also for the AI stuff too, right? You get descriptions in all your fields and
Otherwise
whatnot.
it doesn't work, I think, right? Well,
All right, so let's see. Anybody have any other questions or topics that they would like to go through for today? If you do, just feel free to use the raise hand icon and we will go through in order. Otherwise, let me see.
Wait, can I have my hand? Oh, jeez.
Oh, were you raising your hand or just getting your hand bitten?
Oh, I was going to, but she won't let go of my hand.
Okay. You have a question?
I
Topic?
do. I actually had an actual question
Yeah,
today.
what do you got?
So I am trying to set up a lookup field. The problem is that what I'm looking up to, the name is an auto number. So I'm trying to figure out how to still be able to look it up by something else, because I'm not always going to remember what the auto number of a particular record is to look it up that way.
So if I pause here for 1 sec. So if I say that back to you, you have, for example, like think about the standard Salesforce like order object, where every order that gets created has a goofy order number, and then maybe you have like the order name that might have like some more detailed information that you actually type in. In that case, when you go to do the lookup, it defaults to like the order number. And again, I'm just using order as an example, but instead of looking up just a number, you want to be able to look up something from the text field versus that auto number. All right. Anybody have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think a search layout is what you're looking for.
Was this a custom object or a standard object, Cindy?
Custom object.
Okay, so if you don't mind, I'm going to let's see if we can just mock this up real quick and we'll take a look. So if I launch my org here. So if we were going to have a custom object, let me go to setup here, create a very quick custom object called custom order, custom orders. I'm going to purposely skip over the description field. In this case, instead of the data type being text for the name, I'm going to say order number. And we're going to say CO and then some series of zeros. We'll do all this good stuff. And I'll do the, all right, so there we go. This is going to be custom order. We'll just click on the first thing that comes to us and get rid of this guy. Next. And for the purposes of training, we'll just add it to everything. Okay, so we got that custom object now. So in theory, if I were to go back here and go to our launcher and look for custom orders, we can see that we have this record here. And I guess it's still being saved. There we go. So I'm going to create a new one. And I guess I don't have any other fields here. So that's probably smart that I would come back here. Let's create a text field. And let's do a text. And we'll call this like order description. All right, we'll say 255. All right, so now we at least have a text field that we would be putting in some kind of additional information on. All right, so we come back here, give it a refresh, pin our all, and let's do new. I think it might take a second, or I might need to. Let's go to our lightning page. Let's do new. Do you think this is a caching thing, or do I literally need to go and add the field to some layout? Okay, it was a caching thing. Okay, so we have a new order. We're going to say the order description here is widgets for Peter. I don't know. Save. Let's create one more. We'll do some other ZZZ order, just to have something very specific that we can search for. Okay, now we're saying that we have some object looking up to this custom order object, right? So for example, if I had like a project that was looking up to orders, that's where we're trying to get it, where you can search based off of some other text, right?
Right.
All right, so let's go into, let's get out of this nonsense I was about to do. We'll go to custom object I have in this word called project. So I'll create a lookup field here. This will be a lookup, and we'll look for custom order. Everything looks good there. We'll grant access to everybody. Here we go. Sure. Okay, so now in theory, if I were to go to a project, which of course I don't have any, so I'll create a project, test project. All right, now I'm guessing that that field doesn't get added on here automatically. So let's save, and then we'll just add that lookup field here, and then we'll finally be in a position that we can actually test this. So from our Lightning App Builder
Test.
I can hear you.
Sorry.
Right. So none, conditional formatting. Oh, that's cool. Haven't dorked around with that yet. Okay, we'll activate. Sign as work default, save, next, save. Okay, so now we have that field on our project, looking up to our custom order. So the theory is that if I were to click edit here and I wanted to look for like ZZZ, nothing's coming up here. But I'm sure that if I looked for like, like CO000, it's going to bring up everything. All right, so the question then is, how do we make it so that I can search based on the text from the description field in addition to the order number itself?
Yes.
Does anybody have any thoughts there?
Yes, that's I was testing. Should be able to go to your search layout, I believe, and just add that field.
Did
So
that.
So we go to search layouts.
I even
And
went into Classic and did some of the other ones that aren't available in Lightning.
so we got the name there, but if I added order description, override for everybody, save.
So yeah, the only thing that did for me that was then when you use the actual search screen, it does. You still had to search by that auto number thing, and it would display everything across it on that search layout.
gotcha. So it makes it
Yeah.
easier to pick it apart when you have something that's auto numbered, but you're saying it doesn't let you
Right.
actually search by it.
Correct.
Okay, what is search layout for? I don't really use that.
Well, I think
This
what it
is
would do would be if I
this is-
search. Okay.
yeah, this is basically the search layout, right? What that window that we're looking at right now. So once you
Oh,
actually,
okay. I just never had to go into actual search layout to
Yeah.
compare.
yeah, when you do the little magnifying glass thing and it takes you to this slightly bigger screen where it can give you like the visual
Okay.
list of things that might be close to matching.
Yeah. And see how now it shows some other ZZ order under there? It didn't show that until you added it there under the search layout.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay, didn't fix the search problem.
So is there
Well,
seriously no way to search on a different field besides the name field? That's kind of lame, right?
Yeah, well, and one of the other answers that I found, which didn't seem to work, was you have to actually go into Classic. It's kind of cool, but it still didn't, fix the issue for me.
I feel like whenever you've gone into Classic, you've already gone wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So go to setup on this one.
I try to avoid classic.
And then
at all
type
costs.
in search settings, I think it was. In your quick find.
that's
If you
been so
do
long
search-
since I've been in.
If you do search settings, it will reduce it to just the one.
Oh, you mean literally search
Search settings, yeah.
settings. So not like search for the word settings.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Noah?
So this is so we've got that enhanced lookups. So I tried turning that on. Scroll down just a little bit, you see the little check boxes in that second section.
Mhm.
So I tried doing that for that thing, and that didn't seem to, because that was one of the other things that it suggested. But that didn't seem to fix it. And then if you actually go to the object as well, then there's like, I think there was filters, and I can't remember what they were called.
Good Lord, I can't even remember how to get this custom objects from Classic set up.
I just type it in.
Type in what?
I think
The
if you
name?
type in or
Yeah,
no, I
kind of.
didn't. It was just on the, I think it was on that home screen because I'd recently been at that object.
Before
so-
you leave here, Bill,
Yeah.
I'd put on the auto, the second column, look up autocomplete as well.
Right.
Mhm.
Save that. Should we go back to lightning and see if that made a difference? Sure.
Sure. I didn't in my org, so that's why I'm like,
One thing that I've been doing recently is if you just open up your developer tools, that enables you to do right click on your refresh icon. You can do that hard reload.
nice.
All right, so let's see. Not looking good. Okay. So are we really saying that this isn't a possibility on Salesforce now, that you can't search for a record based on other fields besides name? Is that
It
what it
seems
is?
weird because like I was talking to someone else and they're like, but that's how contracts are set up, and I can search contracts without knowing what the contract number is.
But it's probably because they're special object and not.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's any other special place that you'd have to look here. Like search layouts, that adds the field onto the layout itself, but
Right. And there was other settings in Classic that I tried too, because they're actually a little bit more, those search layouts are a little bit more not just
What if,
based on profile like they are here.
what if you switch the order on the search layout, or try removing the name field and only leaving the other one?
interesting. Yeah, let's give that a whirl. So phase one will be to put that on top.
And you can customize that.
So if we now search for, oh, not XXX, wrong search.
Oh.
All right, no, that didn't work. Let's jump back over here to this again.
Trial and error.
I always thought it was name or the number, whatever you're looking for. I didn't even know you could have other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, so far we can show the other stuff, but we can't search for the other stuff.
Oh. Yeah, I did see the description. Maybe you can only search by name, and then the other stuff is like if you want it to display it.
That's what
But
it seems to be so far.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could even do that.
Yeah, but it's
Well,
awfully inconvenient if you, most people don't remember what an auto number of a record would be to try to do a search for it when they're trying to link it. So like
Yeah.
that seems kind of
Yeah.
odd.
That's its point, is to not have to remember it, right? So
Right?
Let's go into, so if we're assuming that it can't be done through out of the box functionality, let's just talk workarounds for a second, right?
Mhm.
So I could see a couple of different ways of handling this. Now, if this is like an existing org with a ton of existing data and integrations based off auto numbers and all that kind of stuff, this option might not work. But if I was implementing this for the first time, one item might be to solve the problem of I need an auto number, but I also need to search on something a little bit better than just the auto number, would be create the name as a text field, the standard text way, create an auto number field, and then have your description field, and then have some logic like a record triggered flow before insert, before update, that when you save the record, it just overwrites the name with the auto number concatenated with the description, and then potentially you'd be able to search on that. I mean, that's an ugly way to do it, but I can see that working. Another option, again, if you have like 40 different lookups in your org and you need this to work on all of them, this might not be a great way. But if it's like a core part of your process, this is the way you need it to work. For this one lookup, that's like, the main thing that you do within your org. Maybe doing a flow that kind of gets around that search functionality. So in other words, like doing a, you type in something in a text box, you hit next, and then it does a get records where the description contains and then presents a data table that you can select from. And then, I mean, I could see that as like a workaround, but again, that's ugly.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought of that too, but I'm like, I'm trying to not create more work for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other thoughts on a way to get around that?
It seems like I don't remember ever encountering this. I know this isn't the first time I've ever had a thing. That's why it seems odd to me. But yeah, like I said, there was even a couple other settings in Classic that are interesting that I didn't know existed. But it doesn't seem to be solving the specific issue I'm looking at.
Yeah, I don't know of any other workarounds here. And I'm assuming that you did the the Google and ChatGPT questionnaire to see if there's any other kind
Yeah.
of creative way.
Well, see, and that was what was funny was because they both told me to go look at this particular setting in search layouts, and I'm like, that doesn't exist. They're like,
Yeah.
so that's when I discovered that it was under Classic, like that enhanced layout thing or the whatever it was called. But yeah, there's another one. Let me see if I can. Can't show the org, but let me go see if I can remember what it was called because it is interesting, like some of these new things that I learn.
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking, I don't think it would have any impact, honestly. But Salesforce has, hold on, let me just see, required unique external ID. Yeah, I know in the past, there's been conversations. I think this is really just around SQL query performance, but I know that you can submit a case to Salesforce and like have them create skinny tables and indexed fields and things like that. But I don't think that applies to like lookup. It won't allow you to like look up to that field. Um,
So if you in Classic, if you're in the object, so you know how in that search layout thing in Lightning, it just shows you the different search layouts by profile.
hmm.
In Classic, it gives you, it says search results, lookup dialogues, which is that right there is what it sounds like it should be in. It has lookup phone dialogues, portfolio, or the tab, list view, search filter fields, and lookup filter fields.
All right, now again, if I was a custom object in Salesforce, how would I get to my setup page
Right there at
in
top,
this?
right there, recent items.
Oh, look at that convenience. Okay. All right, and then where are you saying now?
Scroll
It's
down, search
under.
louts right at the bottom right now.
Okay, so look up
Lookup
dialogues,
it,
tab
to
list
me,
view.
lookup dialogues or that one sounds like lookup dialogues should be it.
How lame would that be if you have to come into Classic to add this here?
But I did do that and that didn't fix it.
All right, anything else here? Tab list view, search, lookup filter fields. I thought it did that one already.
Probably did search filter fields.
All right, we'll add it to all of them and see if that helps. I doubt it, but okay, that one, dialogue, tab, phone. Okay, all right. Yeah, let's see this not work.
I was hoping that maybe you were using one of those things where because it was like an older thing, it would take a little while. And then this morning I checked and it still didn't work. So I'm like, boo.
Yeah, if it's like an overnight thing, you have to wait for the setting to apply. That would be terrible.
I mean, I already did. I did already wait overnight, but
Yeah, I just don't think it's gonna happen.
right, not even in that part. I'm just like this.
Yeah, that's kind of lame. But data cloud AI. So, I mean, but searching based on a field other than name can't do it. So, I'm sure. Have you looked? Is there an idea exchange
I don't.
thing for this?
I haven't spent that much time on it yet.
Idea exchange. Look up. Let's just see real quick. Filter
I
and
mean,
look up.
on the plus side, I do have a lookup filter on it so that it can only show specific items related to something else that that object is related to. So at least there won't be like infinite number that they could really have to know the auto number for. But
Yeah. Well, real quick, for those that might not be aware, Idea exchange is where you have a good idea that you would like Salesforce to implement that's not available today. So you can go there, search for existing ideas. You can vote on them. You can create your own ideas. And
And then they
then
probably ignore it.
it goes into the void and then doesn't get touched. Yeah, I'm looking at this one. Filter on lookup. So this would be the ability to like add additional filters where if you're searching for an account in the lookup, you'd be able to say, okay, just give me customer accounts or something like that. This has 21,000 points. Actually, okay, so I'm going to take it back. I was going to be a real jerk for a minute there, but I just noticed this one was deliberate. All right, good job, guys. Good job, guys. But yeah, there's some that are in there that have like thousands and thousands of upvotes, and the last update was like 15 years ago.
Yeah,
So
it's like, and the more useful it would be, the less likely they seem to want to do it.
yeah, I probably just got on a watch list from Agent Force by talking bad. But okay. But any other ideas on this one or any other questions? Otherwise, I think this is going to be a one that we can't solve. Like I said, I think it's going to be in the workaround.
I'm tired of these fruit baskets.
Yeah, I think I owe you an orchard at this point. So, all right. Any other thoughts or questions? Otherwise, we can open it back up. Add that to my lame things that should work in the year 2024 list. All right. All right, cool. Well, let's see. We got about what, 10 minutes left? Anybody have any other questions or topics that they would like to go through for today? Otherwise, if there are no other questions or topics, if there's any interest, I can walk through how to get a screen flow onto a public microsite if anybody would find any benefit in that. This is one of those things that, oh wait, here we go. Let's see. This is definitely one of those things that you should probably prepare before you demonstrate to a bunch of people, and you should probably have more than 10 minutes to do it. But let me just see if I could do it for the one I already have here without revealing too much secret squirrel stuff here. So let me close this. Let me go to setup. All right, so just a few lessons learned here as I did this. I'm going to pull up the flow. I'm going to start there. This was collect customer onboarding form. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'll show you the form, and then I'll show you how I got it embedded and working. So basically, I created a screen flow that will be impossible to demonstrate now that I think about it, but let me just see. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so if we look at this screen, it has all the appropriate fields and things that you would imagine, right? So first name, last name, billing address, all that kind of stuff, and their org ID. And then when they click submit, we're not doing anything crazy with creating records or any kind of lookups or anything like that. All we're doing is sending an email to our billing address, and then we're sending that same exact message to a Slack channel, just so that people are aware. So the screen flow, once you have that in place, I'm going to try to be real careful here. If I go to sites and go to all sites, and we look at this site, if I go to my builder here, you can see that I created this microsite, and it basically just has one page, which is the home page, and just the flow component on it. And then from here, this is the page that actually embedded within our WordPress site, and you bring it up and you can see the form publicly. The issue that I ran into, this was kind of the trick. Everything was more or less super easy. But the one thing I didn't realize is that in order to get this to work, you have to go into your flow. In this case, we have this right here, this onboarding form. You got to hit the drop down and go to edit access, and you have to override the default behavior. And then give access to your profile from your microsite. That was the piece that it was not working, and it took me a long time to figure this out. But yeah, check that box, enable the profile, and then the guest user profile or the public access profile should then be able to access this. The other way to get to that, if you weren't aware, or if it didn't show up here, if you go to your sites, if you go here and you go to the site in question, you'll see a button at the top of the site that's public access settings. And it's like, it'll bring you into that profile in a roundabout way. And then once you check that box to override on the flow itself, when you come here to edit this, you'll see that flow is now available for you to check to grant access to the public user from your site. But yeah, so in any case, have that microsite publicly accessible, made it so that anybody can, view the page and fill out a form via Flow, and then we can do whatever we want with the data from there. The only challenge that I have and what I got to figure out now is that, again, it's public, and especially now that I'm putting it on a recording and putting it up on YouTube, who knows how many people would go to that site, fill it out. So at a minimum, just from like a bot perspective, we want to put some additional controls like a reCAPTCHA or something like that. The other thing that we thought about is that the only people that should be filling this out are people that have like a valid license in our org. So maybe they can fill out the form, and the immediate next step is to look up to see if that license exists with their org ID. And if it does, then do the notification, send them the notes. But if it doesn't, if we can't find it, present them with a screen immediately that says, hey, it looks like you don't even have a license. So maybe reach out to this email address instead. So anyway, yeah, first time actually using Experience Cloud for something useful. So yeah. So any questions or anything else before we part ways here in a few minutes?
Ryan's being mean.
Did we find an answer for your question?
I mean, we found that the documentation says this is what can use it, and the only one is the name field. So kind of hosed for custom objects. Some standard objects have additional fields.
I don't like your
but
attitude.
That doesn't help us.
Nope. Not a fan.
Yeah,
I don't think it's being mean to point out that that's just what it is.
All right, let's see. A few minutes left. Angie, I see you have a hand up. What do you got?
Yeah, I haven't done a whole lot of research on this myself yet, but I created a flow to affect accounts when they're created or updated. The other day, a salesperson noticed a duplicate account that didn't, and I've told them, to trigger the duplicate rule, you have to make the account name the same and the address the same. So they did that. They triggered the duplicate rule, and the flow failed because the duplicate rule was triggered. Is there a way around this? Like, they were triggering it in order to remove the duplicates. They got an error message that they couldn't, that the flow failed, and so they weren't able to save their edit.
So the first question I would have is that, and just to say this back to you, so you have two accounts, same name, different address, whatever, they're duplicates.
Actually,
so
they did not have the same name. But the salesperson knows that they're duplicates, so they were renaming it to trigger the duplicate rule.
All right, so you have account A, account B, different names, maybe the same address. We realize it's a duplicate, so to fix it, we're going to update one of their names to make them match, with the theory being that then the duplicate process will kick off, merge them together, and then you can go about your business. But the issue is that as part of that merge, somehow the flow failed for whatever reason. Was there a specific error message or something that
wasn't it wasn't part of the merge? It was when they tried to rename the account.
That makes sense. Depends on how the settings on duplicate rules are set, because sometimes it'll still let you do it. It'll just give you a warning, and other times it will completely prevent you.
That's what I was thinking. I was wondering if maybe you have it set to the full stop instead of the allow.
Okay, so that's in duplicate settings.
So if we remove variables, the flow has nothing to do with this. It's literally just the duplicate process potentially. Yeah.
It depends.
Now, if you have it, so I don't have that screen up right now, but let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But if we look at our duplicate rules, let's see, is it matching rules or the duplicate rule that I should be looking at here?
Duplicate.
Probably the duplicate.
Okay, here we go. All right, so let me share my screen. So this is what we're looking at here. So we have operation on create, operation on edit. We're updating the name of the account, so I'm thinking it's the operation on edit. So when you set this to report, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's going to like tell you that there's a duplicate potentially, but you can still click save and move on with your day.
No, I think it's over on the other side. Action on create, allow, action on edit, allow.
You can see how often I use duplicate rules here. All right,
I
so
don't-
action on edit. So you can allow or you can block. So the theory is that if my edit was going to cause a duplicate to be created, if it was set to block, that would immediately stop your transaction and give you an error message.
Mhm.
Set to allow.
And I wonder if alert would cause some griefs too, as it tries to pop up the alert. Is that also
Sure.
going to interrupt whatever the flow is trying to do?
So
It is
Oh, hey.
speculation territory
Oh.
now.
Hey, Bill, can you go back real quick?
Oh, yeah.
Right at the top under record level security, it says enforce or bypass.
This is around sharing rules.
I don't know. I was just wondering. That's what I just saw, enforce and bypass. So I was wondering what the.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think it has to do with record level security. It has something to do with that actions. And I wonder if action on edit allow. So it allows them to create the duplicate. It's set to allow them, but it didn't.
Is it alert or report or both?
Would have allowed them to create the duplicate, but my flow failed instead.
Okay. And what was
So-
your flow error message?
Duplicates detected.
Hmm.
That was the flow error.
Yeah, I wonder that particular flow. We are unfortunately on time, but I think one thing that I would be interested in seeing is if you went into the flow itself, and if you were to debug it, I don't know if it gives you the option where you can select a record to debug it with, and specifically select that account, and then the change you would make would be the name change. Debug and see if you get any more information from the error there that might point you in the direction as to what's going on. Because I wonder with the flow, if you have it, like maybe the next thing also would be for the duplicate settings, if you set it to allow and make sure neither the report or the alert are turned on, so make sure they're both turned off, see if that works, and then turn them back on to see which one it is that might be causing the problem. Because again, as Ryan mentioned, speculation territory here, but I wonder if somehow the alert mechanism is interfering with the flow.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
it
know.
is kind of its own weird little pop-up sort of thing, isn't it? Like sometimes it'll give you that option of use this record instead.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, but we didn't get there. We got the red flow error. At the
Right,
bottom.
but that's what I mean. If that's
Right.
normally what would happen when you're changing the name, if that flow wasn't active, it has that window that would pop up saying, hey, we think that this is a duplicate. Do you want to use this record instead? Or something like if it gives that, would that fact that that window is popping up while the flow is running, if that might be conflicting with each other. I don't know. Again, speculation.
I'll try both things. Thank you.
Because I love that little alert that's like you don't even have to hit save. It's kind of awesome, but that's my gut is telling me that's what's interfering with your flow, and you may have to put a bypass in your flow if you want to leave that alert.
Have we tried it in Salesforce Classic? Maybe that's an option.
All right, we're in overtime.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you for joining and everybody who's contributing and asking questions and answering questions. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll sync up next week. Thanks.